I have known a lot of people with money. And when I met you 15 years ago, uh, it was the first time I met a guy who had money but didn't was not enthusiastic about money.
No, that's right, because money is for entrepreneurs with my mindset, typically global entrepreneurs, the money is just a tool to achieve your goals, and it's actually not the purpose of the reason why you're doing your different journeys. So I have heard that a lot of times, that I give that feeling to people, that money is something that we talk very little about because it takes very little space in my different projects. So that's correct. I am a little bit, more focused on the result or the project that I'm in than the actually monetary outcome.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I had a lot of rich friends, and usually I say that it's expensive to have rich friends because
Yeah.
they want you to go to expensive restaurants, and you want to pay sometimes, you know. But with you, you're the only rich friend. Now you're not rich at the moment, but back then you were extremely wealthy, and I could hang out with you without it being expensive for me. Well,
Yeah, because it's never important for me. I also always try to give people around me a comfort of that should not be an issue in any way. So I just remove the subjects. Also, you've been with me to restaurants and places a lot of times also lately, and you just see that you never even see how the bill is handled
yeah,
because
yeah.
you don't even feel it. Suddenly, I just say, "Let's go," and be looking around, what's happening. As I know it's taken care of. I come here very often. I say something like that. So it's something that I make it. Because many people in that case, when we get closer to that, because money is very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
It's an
exactly.
uncomfortable
It's
issue
the
to talk
biggest
about.
taboo we have.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
And I always just remove that taboo so we can, focus on what's important. And that's very often when you're some kind of business dinner. You've been with me for hundreds of business dinners. You see how I do it. That is to take the taboo out of it and just be relaxed about it, because I take care of it anyway.
I once did a empowerment seminar for a group of people, and during 3 days they were talking about everything: their sex life, their personal problems, whatever. And then I said, instead of evaluating the course, then you can tell me how much you want to pay for it. And everybody thought it was such a
Unpleasant, yeah.
unpleasant thing to say,
Yeah.
And now they've just been talking about whatever, but money was such a taboo that half of them got so angry they didn't want to talk to me again.
Yeah, because it has been a taboo, and I think that's an issue for the world actually, that money is taboo. As I said a couple of times also before in my life, I think money is the most beautiful thing in the world, because with money you can do incredible things for other people, and that's actually, I think, the idea of the money. But the bad side of it, and the downside of the money, is of course that people are willing to do whatever they can do to get the money. And that is also something that I tried on my own body, and why I was taken down by the tax authorities, and how Pandora could cheat me. Because in this matter, I'm not like a normal businessman, because I act differently, and I'm a little naive in that matter. Because I don't have it in me that I want to take other people's money. So I'm not prepared when they come and do it, as when the tax authority took me completely down and stole everything I had. I had to fight 6-7 years to get the money back again. And now again, when Pandora did a complete, clear, obvious cheat, without even blinking with their eyes, they simply take away hundreds of millions of euros from me. And I didn't see it come, because people say, but did you have a bad contract? No, I did not. Did you have something? No, they just cheated. And people are willing to do incredible things to cheat in order to get the money. And that is the bad energy of money, in my opinion. That people are willing to even kill or cheat or betray their closest friends or whoever just because
when
of the money.
I wrote the first book about you, I had a very interesting experience, because we were, after the book was published, we met to talk about the financial side. How did it go? And I said, okay, we share the profits, so this is about $50,000. And you said, okay, isn't it? That's not a lot. I can't be bothered to send you a bill of half of that amount. And I mean, most rich people I know are rich because they are collecting dimes, everywhere.
Taking the sense.
And this approach, I mean, it's quite interesting, because I thought, okay, I owe this guy, you know. I'm all now that I'm working today. I don't charge you for that. I haven't charged you for 1.5 years.
Psychology, and that is of course the reasons why I also can continue. But you hit it quite well at the spot there. That now you're talking into the billionaire mindset, and the billionaire mindset. We don't run for the cents, we run for the millions. And that is, of course, something that you can see. It will be a little funny thing is when you go to a restaurant with people. I do that very often because I observe them incredibly a lot when we're doing that dinner. How do they function? How do they order? All these different kind of things. Put in mind, a billionaire mindset. He orders in 5 seconds because he don't want to waste his time sitting looking at a whole menu. He don't care. He actually wanted them just to have 3 different dishes: fish, meat, nothing, vegan. So. That's it. And we choose. And we look at the card and I choose in 5 seconds. We move on into the conversation again. Always know that when you go out to people who sit for a long time, they're never millionaires. Because they're sitting wasting their time on things that are irrelevant in this life. And if you want to run and create global billion-dollar business like I did, you can't focus on the small things. Move on. Next issue.
Exactly.
Instead of maybe looking at sending you a bill of $25,000, which is, of course, is a lot of money in your daily life in your pockets. But in connection to, and if you connect that to your opening a store in New York or something, it's nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
So always focus on the big decisions. Don't focus on the small decision. And every little decision you as a businessman or global entrepreneur can put out to other people. Let them do it. You know how little I control. You know how little I follow up. I work with 100% trust on my team.
Yeah, exactly. And you're very naive, and that has probably often brought you in trouble. Like this big case with Pandora and the tax authorities in Denmark. And like I remember this story that I don't know if you or your mother told me that once you decided you had so much money, you would make it very nice for the people who knew you, your friends. So you gave something like, I think it was $4,000 or $5,000 a month to your friends, like 20 families or.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to create good energy, but it didn't create good energy.
It created good energy as long as it lasted, because now you're into another subject that's called giving, and giving is another issue, because when you give people something, they get very happy. And if you continue to give them, then they get less and less happy. They see them as their right to have it. Yeah. And the second you then don't give it to them, then you're the biggest asshole in the world, But it comes back to the way that we work in the family, that we want to share everything we have, When we made a lot of money during the Pandora days, we shared it with the local community, supporting the sports, supporting everybody around us, supporting our family, supporting everybody. And that's basically also, but I can't change that, because that's also what I'm doing with my court case now. That is what people don't understand, because people say, why don't you just keep it all for yourself? You're going to win that case. Yeah, but this is not about me. It's about everybody around us. And why should I sit with 500 million euro in my account? Of course, I would be a great person to have the 500 million in the account, because I will give it away to everybody. So I'm not a bad person to give 500 million, and now I'm going to get them. Yeah. But for me, it's not important whether I have 500 or 250. I'm in it for the job.
But it's actually very hard giving to people, because some people are very good at receiving. I think once I was working in London, and you said, "Oh, you should have 5,000 euro a month.
Yeah.
You're doing some work for me there." I was not doing a lot. I got that money a few months, and then suddenly it stopped. And I was very happy, It was a few months. I could use that extra money.
Everybody
but I didn't get angry when it stopped.
No.
But some people would do that. So if you want to give to people, you need to find the people who appreciates the good thing when it happens, and who can take a loss.
And rule number 1 that I learned that I want to pass on to everybody is, don't make subscription models. You have to give reward models, meaning that they have to do a job for you, and then they get the money. Because if you just make it as a subscription model, they will make less and less and less and less, and they see that it's more and more rightful for them to get the money. So if you really want to, reward somebody, do it on certain occasions. Make a reward of something that they're doing, a special job, not just a subscription model. Because a subscription model is, of course, what 99% of all human beings wants to get into. They just get the money and they don't have to perform. That's not how it works, and that's why I always, when it comes, now you're talking about my the private Jesper, but when it comes to the business Jesper, I always work on only commission-based businesses.
But actually, you also say that there's no difference between the private and the business.
Because I'm also very generous. But there in the business, I really need people to perform for me. So maybe something that you would not see very important, I see as very important in exactly that little puzzle that I need in my big piece to make it work.
I once had an accountant. I went to work with him, do my tax project, and we were sitting doing all this very complicated work, and suddenly his kids came running in playing football, and he was the dad, then he was the accountant, and I could tell, okay, this man is just one person, you know. And with you, I feel the same.
Yeah, because I'm always doing business, and I'm always private. So it's not like I say I don't go to the office and say now I do business, or I go home and say now I'm at home. For me, it's all one big mix, you know. I work 24 hours a day. Global entrepreneurs, we do that. It's not like we say now we go to the office and then we go home at 5 and then we don't work anymore. You know, we respond 24 hours. We're there all the time. When you're running the biggest court case in the country ever, you know, you can't sleep on that. You have to work hard because I'm really responsible and I'm very, very, you know, privileged about running the biggest court case this country ever saw. But it fits good in my DNA because, you know, I always want to be number one. I didn't want to create the second largest jewelry brand in the world. I want to create the biggest jewelry brand in the world. I didn't want to have a good handball team. I wanted to have the best handball team in the world, you know.
I have a friend who's a billionaire now, Peter, you know him.
Yeah.
And he said one of the best advice he ever got was from his dad saying, I don't care what you do, just be number one in the world.
And the important thing about that is being number one also means that you're a little bit alone. Because nobody really likes the guy that's number one. People like the guys that number 2 or 3 or 4. You can be friends with them because the number 4 could be friends with number 2. But being number one is always cold on the top of the mountain. And I always give that advice to everybody who said, you can choose to be average, you'll have a lot of friends. If you want to be the best, you're pretty much alone on your journey. And that's a very important advice to give to entrepreneurs around the world. Don't worry about being alone for a long time. We have to live with our own company because we are creating something that nobody else wants to actually help us with. And the same goes also with the court case that I'm running right now, is that, of course, I have many people helping me, but I also accept it's my journey. I'm the one working 24 hours on this to make that happen and use all the 6 lawyers, the whole team, the funding teams, the social medias, everything around me. I have people helping me with all different kind of small puzzles in that. But I also know this is something that is the most intriguing and exciting project I ever did in my life, you know. Pandora was a piece of cake compared to what I'm doing right now. This is the real shit that I've been training for my whole life.
But the way that I see you now, we're gonna talk a little bit about your profile as a businessman. I met a lot of businessmen before I met you, and I thought, when I met you, I thought this can't be real because he's opposite everyone else. All the other successful guys I met had a very different profile. They were stingy, they were very private, they were very calculating, and you are none of these things. And when people meet you first or they see you in the media, I think they say this can't be true. You can't be like that. You must be someone else when you are not.
Oh, pretending, yeah.
Yeah. But you are not, because now we have been friends for 15 years and I've seen you like all hours of the day.
Yeah.
And one thing that is very interesting is that I never saw you yawn. You know? I never once in 15 years saw you look tired.
No, because, you know,
How is that possible?
How is that possible? Yeah, it is, of course, the billionaire mindset, again, that intrigues you and makes you, give you the drive every day when you get up, you know. You know, I didn't just create like a little good jewelry brand making millions or 2 million. I created the world biggest, you know. Every single woman in the world knows this brand. And it comes from this little country, this little city. I was three guys who did that. And that is the mindset that you have to know that if you can meet very successful entrepreneurs who made 10 million or 15 million, great. But when you meet the real guys who makes the billion-dollar companies, you know, we're talking about Pandora, a top 100 global brand created in 20 years. We're talking about that it's one of the 100 biggest brands in the world. The world is big, you know, number 1 is Apple. Then we have Mercedes, Volkswagen, Microsoft, all these Tiffany's in our segment, Cartier and then we have Pandora on this list as well. Only another Danish brand that is on that list is Lego, just to give it an idea of what it is that we created. But by getting to know me, you can also feel what kind of mindset it is that you need to have to do that. Because at the end of the day, it's not about calculating. It's not about being good in Excel sheets. It's not about being a strong negotiator. It's all about people.
No, I have a business, I have a master's degree in business. And none of what I learned at the business school is part of your philosophy. Actually, the opposite is your philosophy.
Exactly.
You never wear a suit or tie.
No.
You don't have a CV.
No.
You don't do a business plan.
No.
So
when we had the transaction in Pandora where we went from being, the entrepreneurs and we had to public list the company, we made our IPO, biggest IPO for 40 years, ringing the bell in NASDAQ in New York. I had one of the guys that day who said to me, it is funny to see how many good guys now who came into the city who's really good in calculating. But it's also funny to see that there's one guy who really knows how to calculate. And that's, of course, you, he said, because you figured all this out. Long before all of us, we understood what was going on. We can sit with our Excel sheet, but you got the big picture from the first day. And I said, yes, you calculated now because I had the big picture. You could do your calculating. I gave you your job. I give you 20,000 euro a month. You do a great job, but you have no idea what it is that I'm about to do here. So as soon as I saw, the potential in it, I always see where we can go. I saw with Pandora after very few weeks, month working with that, where we could end. Of course, nobody believed it when I said, this can be the biggest jewelry brand in the world. The same when I said to everybody in Denmark, when I opened up my sports teams, we can be the world best. They say, no, we are playing in the 4th division. How can we ever be the world? Just wait and see. I already have the clear side. I know how to do it. The same when people told me, Jesper, you can't win 2 of the biggest tax cases of this country. You have 3% of winning 1. How are you going to win 2? I said, I have a plan. And the same the second I met the whistleblower standing at that show. When he told me these things, I knew I'm going to win. Because I just needed that information from that whistleblower to put all the puzzles in the right place. And I said to my family, I called back to my family and I said, hey, we're going to get back everything. We're going to get back our reputation. We're going to get back our money. We're going to everything because they cheated. The guy just told me how they did it. And I said, I can't tell you now. I can't tell you which journey we're going to go on. I couldn't say that with Pandora either. I couldn't say that with the Hamlet team either. And I couldn't say with our tax. But no matter to what gate we come to that is closed, I will find a way to open it.
Yeah, but how is it possible that everything you do is the opposite of what everybody else tells you that is the right approach?
I love when people say you can't do that.
Yeah, but it's for me it's mind-blowing, like you are a man who made a lot of money. You had success
billions
with
in my
what
life.
you did.
I not even just did I make billions, also spent billions.
But the funny thing is, like you would say, you are an important person. But last time, me and my son visited you. My son was
always good
17.
to bring your kids.
You could sit and talk with him for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. You haven't done that for years, no?
I have done it, but I'm probably not, maybe or even too close to my kids.
Yeah.
But it was
As
interesting.
a good guy, a good son you have, by the way.
Very interesting that you would, like most businessmen I would meet, they would talk to important people.
Yeah.
They would dress in a way that makes them look important.
Correct.
They would, create a scene that makes everything around them look, boost their image. Yeah. But you do none of these things.
I'm present at the moment, That's one of and that's truly something that I had my whole life when I was building my big businesses or building my handball teams or winning my tax cases and these things. I talk to everybody. Because everybody is important and everybody can bring something to you at a certain... Your sons, the talks I had with your son brought me a lot, I tell you. Because I learned to understand how a 19-year-old boy is thinking in 2025. And that, of course, made me look into many of my other business projects in another way.
Exactly.
Because I had to talk to them. Because there's 2 different ways of being interested in other people. There is the way where you pretend you're interested or you're generally interested in getting to know other people. And I truly believe that my skill, superpower, every global entrepreneur who built brands like me, we have a superpower. And my superpower is people. I know how to move the people and get them in the right direction. I, of course, see the bigger picture. I see what it is that we are doing. I know what we do. I'm always 3, 6, 12 months ahead. You know that. And very often people say, why does he do like that now? Nobody really knows. Until suddenly say, aha, that's why he did like he did at that time, you know. And right now my case is to run this case. Nobody ever ran a case like mine before. You know, my opponent, you know, they don't want to because they hate this. And it's just not the Pandora that is my opponent. You know, the state is as well, the district attorney, he is as well. And I enjoy that, you know, that the more they gather towards me, the stronger I get.
Yeah, but because you're doing everything opposite, a lot of people misread you, and you're probably the most misunderstood man in Denmark at the moment, or have been for many years.
Many years, I think.
And last time we went to the court, I was with you just to see how would that play out. And there were 2 guys there. Everybody thought you were a crook. You know, it was clear. And then we had to do something afterwards.
Yeah, some practical
and we were
things.
sitting there 2 hours with 2 of the lawyers, and suddenly they realized that you're a good guy.
Yeah, and that I was right.
And that was very difficult for them, you know?
Yeah, because they had this, of course, the established world. I call them the boys north of Copenhagen. They have a problem with a guy like me because I do, like you said, everything different from what the, you know, normal business guys would do.
Exactly.
I approach it in a different way. You know, they thought many times they buried me, not just the state in my tax cases, but also Pandora in this court case running. They think they bury me. But, you know, that's a part of being the entrepreneur. We always find a way out of it. Yeah. Because, of course, I faced hundreds of challenges in my time with Pandora and in many of my other business projects. But there's always a way out. You have to keep on fighting. Rule number 1, you know how I always say, never give up. You have not lost until you give up. And if you never give up, you can never lose. And that's why I'm going to win this case. Because I will never give up.
Yeah, so you also said that another rule number 1 for you was to be able to eat the shit. You remember that? Like that's the difficult part of being...
Very strong words.
Yeah.
To be a global entrepreneur is to be endlessly humiliated, take the shit, being beaten up, being told you're different, being taken down by the system. The press is going to write so bad about you. All these different kind of things. But if you believe in yourself, and that's what we global entrepreneurs, we do, we take it as a reward. We take it as a motivation when they do all these things that they do. And it's very funny now, you know, even I also have a lot of support in Denmark, and many of them, they also write now towards the journalists when they're writing bad about me and say, you're not looking into it, you know, you're just so biased in all this. And of course I know but I know I'm right. The same when I had my tax case, I knew I didn't cheat. You know, so it was not difficult for me to keep fighting. And the same goes on in this case here. They can write whatever they fucking want to write. I don't care because I'm going to win because I'm right. You know, the world is simple. When we come in front of these judges next year, there's nothing Pandora can do to prove opposite. Because, you know, if they could, they've done it a long time ago. But they can't do it. Their only chance is what they're doing right now, and that's playing chess against me and trying to get me drained out with money. You know, my lawyers will run away from me. The public opinion will be so hard against me. But, you know, what they don't know is that they're just motivating me more and more and more to do more and more. And they have no chance what they have awakened in me. They have no chance of what hitting them in the future. This has just started from my side.
But when you're thinking like the lawsuit, it's interesting because you put it on shares, and you did that I think 7 years ago or something like that.
Brilliant idea.
I was one of the first investors.
Of course.
I invested it in. I am a terrible investor. I have no idea about business, but I invested not because I thought I would win, but because I could clearly see they had cheated you. Like any child could see that they cheated you. You know. One of the world's most profitable businesses is making stacks of money, but in the years they have to share the profits with you, then they make nothing, and afterwards they make money again. I mean, I thought any idiot would be able to see that you had been cheated, but now the court case is so extremely complicated.
But it is not. There's only one part that makes it very complicated, and that is the counterpart. That is Pandora. Because from our side, we keep repeating the same and again. Give us an explanation why we have 2 different bookkeepings. Give us an explanation why we have a bookkeeping saying we have billions of profit and a bookkeeping that you sent to us that was showing a loss. Show it to and tell it to us. That's what the court case is going to be about. But till we get there, they're going to do a lot of funny jokes and party, and that's what lawyers are supposed to do. Lawyers are in many ways, they are. I think many of them then come from down under, coming up to us to test our patience and if we're good people or not. I don't think if you when I see the lawyer from Pandora right now, I don't think he comes in heaven when this is over, because he's acting very, very, immoral, and he's acting very like he knows what he's doing. He knows that they're not right.
People are making a living out of making very simple things extremely complicated.
And my job is
to do the opposite.
To eat the shit, just let it keep running, and then at the end, as it was in my tax cases, when I finally came, after 6 and 7 years, I finally came in front of the Supreme Court and the National Court. It was so simple to see what was actually going on. And the court cases in itself, when you come to that point, it's not very long. It's going to be 1.5 days. But the journey to get there, that is very complicated. But the court case in itself is very, very simple. And that is what I've learned as a businessman, is to keep, we have the KISS expression, keep it simple, stupid. And this is what I keep doing also with my lawyers. I talk to my lawyers every second day. We have a meeting, and the only thing I keep repeating myself, keep it simple. Keep it simple, because it is in their genetics that they want to run with the other lawyer and make it all very complicated, because that's what they live from, I should say, yeah.
Another thing around money, which I think is interesting regarding you, is that when you and I met 15 years ago, I was not broke. I never been broke. I always had a healthy economy. But after we started hanging out, I started making more and more money.
Yeah,
and today I'm quite wealthy. I don't have.
I have that effect on thousands of people,
Exactly, and and I didn't make money off you.
What do you think about all the shareholders in Pandora, all the investors in Pandora?
But what I learned is that if I want to learn something, I don't really have to listen to people, but I just have to be around them and pick up their mindset. Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of people, like my students, I'm a therapist in certain ways, in a little bit of a different way. But a lot of my students are, when they're with me, they take notes, and I say, don't take notes, just be here,
be present.
Because you're gonna pick up what I've learned, my experiences. It can infect you like a virus in a very healthy way. And you did that with me.
I made you maybe give a little bit, what we were talking about in the beginning when I met you, that you have to be a little bit more relaxed around the money,
Yeah, exactly.
You were very, tense about the money.
Stingy,
Yeah, it took a lot of, I could feel that it took a lot of your space.
Exactly.
And I just made you relax about the money. Because money has a tendency to flow where it's nice to be.
It's an energy,
that is some theory that I have, that the money very often goes to places where it enjoys to be. That's why I always made tons of money my whole life, because money feels nice around me. Also, basically because I give it away again. I don't believe that you should keep money in your accounts or things like that, boring investments of having a 6% interest a year or things like that, unless it's for buildings where people can live into that. That's good energy. Yeah. But otherwise, you should also always get the money out around people and work with it. Spend the money that you have. Be willing to spend. And I always say there's 2 ways of getting rich in life. 1, you can save money. Or 2, you can make a lot of money. And I can tell you which person is the most fun to be around. It's the guy who makes a lot of money, because the one who saves, that's a very, very boring life they live, He saved his whole life. What the hell is the idea behind that? Come on, spend it, go out, do some good energy, do some good things for other people.
I was living with you when you had a big mansion in Mallorca. I didn't like it very much. It was a $25 million dollar mansion. And
it's nice to try to live like that.
And we had to shout to find each other. Yeah. And the mobile phones didn't work. The walls were too big.
It was concrete.
And then I would go out during the day and just work. And when I came home, we would be there alone. You would work during the day. But then you would kind of have a buffet ready, even though you and I were alone there, which I thought was really incredible, that you could be such a happy host. You really enjoy hosting people.
Yeah.
Even if it's me or if it's 50,000 football fans.
Exactly. And that's why you're putting it to them. I actually could do that every day. Host people, give good energy to people. The mansion that you're talking about now was something that we use for business also. And I had that in all my business projects. I try to create like a place where I am and where people feel that they come in my home, but I host them like crazy, with the football teams and the handball teams, it was hosting 50,000 people. But it's the same, I like when people feel that they're welcome in my place. It's not like when you come to me, I said, after 10 minutes, I asked you want something to drink, it's already standing ready. Everything is ready, there's snacks, there's food coming, and all these things, it just comes natural to me.
But isn't it incredible? A man who feels like that. You did that with handball in Denmark, you did it with football, you did it with business. And I would say at least 50% of the population in Denmark think you're a mad guy.
Yeah. But that is of course also because everything you don't understand, you can't get your hands around. And I understand I work that on people, but I don't think you have ever met anybody who really know me, who can say anything bad about me.
No, exactly. That's the
yeah, I don't think you can find anyone you meet. You've been in all my circles everywhere around the world.
I can find a lot of people who can say bad things about
of
you,
course.
but
not that knows me.
No, not like I do.
Yeah, or I know many.
Family.
I know so many people around the world. And I don't think anyone from my family can say anything bad about me either. Because family, how close we are now. Family as well. We fight together till the end. And I take the bullets, but we fight. But I see that as a part of the price I have to pay for having had this incredible life. Because my life, how incredible it has been. Who would have thought that a little uneducated boy from a little outskirt of Copenhagen, a little suburb, could end up having such a life? I've seen everything. I tried everything. I have been all around the world. I can't say anything I need to tick off on my box and say I want to try that.
No, you don't have a bucket list anymore.
The bucket list is empty.
Yeah.
And now I just actually want to make a change for people. I came to the point, as we often get when we get in our 50s, that I just had my full bucket list listed out now. And now I want to be able to influence young people, to show them a better way, that there is other ways than this that they try to push us into. And I think the whole world is in a transaction at the moment where people like me are getting more and more time to talk because you're willing to listen to us. That it doesn't always have to be so controlled in so controlled environments.
I think one of your problems is that you cannot do like most of the pep talkers can. You cannot list up 3 things you need to do to achieve this.
No, that's not so complicated. It's about people here, you know.
Yeah. So what you're like, we talked about once, like you said, a lot of wealthy businessmen, they are going to these executive seminars learning about leadership and personal growth, but you would never do that. No. You would say like going on a holiday in a camper with a lot of beers and drinks and with a group of people, that would be a lot more developing.
Because there I get to feel them. Yeah. In these, I tried these different courses when I was a young businessman. I felt so uncomfortable about it. Because it was so fabricated, everything.
You had to hug a tree and...
these things, it makes no sense. Sit and do Lego, and I remember when we had the transaction from the corporate management in Pandora, from us, entrepreneurs who built the company, we had to do some leadership journeys. And the 3 founders of us, we were just sitting laughing at each other when it's going to be 17 so we can get out of this and go to a nice restaurant and have some good times and talk about how great business we're doing,
Yeah, because self-development for you is basically partying, having a good time with your friends.
It's creating relations and have a good time. And a party is a good thing. I love the music. I love the energy. I listen to music all day, because that brings me energy, gives my mood goes up and down, and I can control it through the music. I would drink way too many energy drinks because we do that. Because we are high, we're high on life, and you never see me drunk because I never get intoxicated, That's not how I need to be. I need to, and when I drink, it's only to be social.
Yeah, I had this, I think I was the only person who was allowed not to drink alcohol at your parties once.
Yeah, because we were afraid what's going to happen if you start to drink. That was the problem.
It would be too weird.
Because it accelerates your personality. We didn't want that to happen further.
That's good. But you would never be able to get me to drink because and that's that's probably the one place we are similar, because we are both high on life and high on not being intoxicated.
Exactly.
And that is kind of like interesting, because the friendship I have with you is built on differences. And respect for differences, because we are different in almost every possible way. And I think a lot of people could learn from that, because like, I'm attracted to people who are different from me.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to somebody who's like me.
No.
It
doesn't develop you.
It doesn't challenge me.
No.
I don't meet a lot of people who are like me, but I meet a lot of people who are very different.
Yeah.
And I think one of your strengths is that you.
I take the people. I like to meet people who are different. I take them in. I want to feel them. I want to see, okay, what can I learn from them? And I always, join people and join events where a lot of people will be. Even though, as you know, like you, I'm very introvert. I actually also like to be alone by myself, because it doesn't give me energy. But I like to come out and get the feeling of what other people can bring me and learn to me. And then when I come home, I reflect. And then I start to move in the different directions. From one meeting with a customer, I can see the whole business change in another direction. Because because at the end of the day, every business or everything we have to do has to fit into what other people want.
And you prefer to meet your clients or employees at their home lane.
Of course.
Where
they feel safe.
In a place where they feel safe, because then you can read them better.
I can read them. I can see what it is that they want. So when I had my jewelry business, the world's biggest jewelry business at that time, people didn't understand that I didn't have an office. We had a huge, nice headquarter, the big CEOs and all the nice titles. I had them all. I didn't even have a title. My title was Jesper, because I was the founder. And I was just, and I had no job in the company. I was just being Jesper, but I made every decision. And I was always believed that you should run your company from the front, meaning that I was 100 days a year, I was driving with my sales reps all around the world, meeting the customers and meeting the sales rep, because he is the one who's talking to the customer every day. He can tell me what the customer needs.
Exactly.
And the jewelry store, or my franchise partner, or our own store manager, he could tell me what the end consumer was saying, so I could make small adjustments in my company that today lead to that Pandora is enormously sensational, but it's all the small dots that I was turning around at the time that leads to the Pandora concept today. And I was in Hamburg this weekend with my family, and Hamburg is special to me, because there me and my father was laying on the 6th of October 2006 and building the first Pandora store in the world. And every year before Christmas, the last weekend before Christmas, I take my whole family to go and see that store. The girls will go in and they will buy Pandora nonstop, and everybody is happy, and it's very special to me. But I see now it's 19 years ago since I opened that store. Nothing changed. Nothing changed in that store. It's the same concept, one-to-one, that I created with my small dots. The new management had made absolutely zero. They just continue eating from the old bone. But that's fine, because it was the only store in the whole mall where there was a line to get in. And of course, that makes me so warm around my heart. When Pandora store number 1, they have to have a line. And of course, I go there and I help, and they don't know who I am. But they can't understand how happy I get to see that, because that was exactly my vision. When I was driving around my car, trying to sell in the first pen, that was my vision one day, that this should happen. And now it turns out that the Pandora has such a sustainability as a brand that it can't be destroyed, because what we created by being out there, listening to the customer, listening to the jurors, and people don't change that much. The women are still the same. And when you see that, I saw again this weekend, I just get so warm around my heart, And of course, all my kids, they don't know what it means to me, because as you know, I have a lot of kids, and they were there with their boyfriends and grandchildren. What do I know? And even some of the girls, they have Pandora as their middle name, and they go in and they buy like crazy that day. I just say buy, go crazy, because and it's so I get so happy to see that all my daughters are wearing it and they love it, and I just know what I did when I was doing that journey of going out visiting my customers and not sitting in the office. Would have been much easier for me just to sit in the office and look at the numbers and no. I had to find the exact perfect concept for this. And when I saw it this weekend again in Hamburg after 19 years after I opened that store, I just say, my God, Jesper, you really did something special here.
Yeah, but for me, it's still the number one most interesting thing about it is that you can do all that and while not being brainwashed of the culture around you telling you that you should do everything, that you are doing everything wrong.
That's
and right. I had the same as a writer. I've been told a million times, you're doing it wrong. You're not working the right way. You're not writing the right way. But I am doing it my way. And the same with you. Like, I think that's why I feel a lot of freedom around you, because you are doing everything your way, and no matter what I tell you, you're still going to do it your way and the other way around.
Now you're hitting it to a funny point there, because I listen to that, but I don't like being told.
No.
Because I always say to when people come listening close to me, they come and say about this and this and this. I always ask them, get a little bit serious with them and ask them, do you think I'm intelligent? I ask them. Yeah. Do you think I've been thinking about the things that you're telling me right now? Yeah, you probably have. Yes, I have, I said. And do you think I have evaluated every possible outcome of that? Yeah, you probably has, yeah. So don't worry. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because very often, as you know, I don't tell people my goals. I don't tell it. Because they don't know what...
Yeah, you're wasting your energy because they either they can't see it or they will tell you to go somewhere else.
But that's again when you believe in yourself, you know, when you created big things like a $1 billion business. Because many people created big business, but how many do you know alive in Denmark today that you can sit down and talk to, who created a top 100 global brand $1 billion business?
But maybe it has nothing to do with the size, you know, like I'm creating small things and I'm doing it in my way, even though
the only reason why you will never create something big
wrong.
is your risk. I am not afraid of risks. I take huge risk. I put myself in the middle of the target and I take the risk. That's what very, very few people will do. But I'm not afraid. I take the risk, but don't worry. It's a very calculated risk I'm taking.
Yeah, but I don't have your ambitions. But I spent 1.5 years, or maybe even 2 years, writing a blog post, and I was working on this, and it just didn't work. And then last week, I could write it.
You saw the clear side.
I saw it, and I was so happy. I read it 8 times, and I was almost crying. This is perfect. And that's my goal, you know. Yeah. That's what I work for. That's what gives me the energy. I maybe you think that I would have loved to create a worldwide brand.
You would not feel very comfortable in that chair.
No. I love being anonymous. I like to sit at a cafe and work with my things.
No. Very few people are built for this. It is, and I was not built for this in the beginning of my life. It is something that I have developed over the years. And the same you can say about, I've been trained for this court case, you know. I've been prepared myself, because not many people can run a court case against this monster of an opponent that I created also. I created their financial strength through my abilities and my skills. So I know exactly how strong they are. So I also know what it is that I'm fighting. And the only way I can take them down is by continuing and continuing. But you also have to know that I've been trained for this. I built a global company. I won 2 huge court cases. I've been working globally my whole life. So if I should put anybody to run these court cases in the whole world, I would choose myself.
Yeah, but you are a little bit like Dr. Frankenstein, who has to put down his monster. So
exactly.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I don't want to be quite sure. I don't want Pandora to go down as a monster in any way, because there's nobody in this world who has stronger feelings toward the Pandora brand as our family has, because we spend so much time in that. So of course, sometimes it's a little bit difficult for us. But then I always try to, what I do is I take the Pandora away and then I put the pictures of these bad guys. Because right now they are representing and abusing my child.
I thought, you know, like we talked about it when you came back here and you had the whistleblowers. You had the whole setup. We thought the new management would say, okay, that's fair. We're gonna pay you now. But because they didn't make the mistakes, they didn't cheat you back then. So it's new people.
I know they can't do it. It's so difficult for them because it's not just paying me, as you know. It's why they did it. That is the problem. It is the motive that kills them. Because if they could just give me 300-400 million now, they would love to do it. But the problem is the motive, and that is what is actually lethal for Pandora. But what they also know when we get to that is that I'm going to try to protect them when it comes to that, because I will not be the guy who takes down Pandora in any way. So I always have to work with every decision I make. I can't go 100% always, because I know I have to protect it, because it's a part of my life. It's a part of my identity. It is what built me. I am the co-founder of Pandora, and this is who I am. This is my biggest achievement in my life. And globally, privately, or as a person, Jesper, the thing that I'm doing now is even bigger. Because this is, you can't compare, and nobody ever in the whole world is taking the journey I'm taking right now. And I like that. That motivates me. I like to go and find new fields where nobody were before. Because I couldn't get in a book and say, how do you do this? I couldn't do it.
Exactly, yeah.
I just say, every gate I meet, I will go through. Every problem I come, I will solve it. And as I opened the case, October, where they were really trying to kill me with everything they had, but I still did it. And I never was worried 1 second on that journey up to the days that I wouldn't do it. I knew I would do it, no matter what.
Thank you very much.